At City Hall, the budget crunch is officially on. Next month, Mayor Brandon Johnson will reveal his spending plan to council members. To get the conversation started, his hand-picked budget task force is out with its long-anticipated report. To close the city's anticipated $1.15 billion deficit, the working group made up of business, labor, and community representatives came up with a list of new revenue and savings ideas. They suggest raising taxes on bottled water, plastic bags, as well as increasing the garbage collection fee. They also say reinstating a $4 a month employee head tax, an annual property tax increase tied to inflation. That'll help bridge the gap. On the savings side, the task force recommends furlough days for city workers, raising the employee health care contribution, disbanding the police horse unit, and diverting some 911 calls to telehealth service providers. But the final say comes from the mayor and city council. Johnson has remained adamant that he won't propose a property tax hike. What exactly he will support, still not clear. Budget watchdogs are encouraging more long-term solutions.
We know what we inherited. We knew what we got ourselves into when we ran for office, and we made a commitment that the ills of the past, that we're going to provide the necessary response so that we can continue to build safe and affordable communities. We don't have a spending problem in Chicago. We have a revenue problem, and that's why my budget is going to reflect the values of working people, where we're going to challenge the ultra-rich to pay their fair share in taxes.
It's hard to understand actually what the logic is to it just being a revenue problem, other than wishing that the state is going to open up either the authority for the city to tax willy-nilly, which it's not going to do, or the state itself is going to come up with a lot of that money, which I don't know how many times the governor has to say, and it's not just the governor himself, it's the entire state legislature to say, there isn't the money there right now.
Now, the City Council technically has until the end of the year to approve a plan. Last year's budget process went all the way to December. I'm joined by 32nd Ward Alderman Scott Waguespack and 9th Ward Alderman Anthony Beal to talk about what happens next with City Council, set to meet this week. Gentlemen, good Sunday morning to you. Thanks for being with me. You know what? I got to start with this philosophy that the mayor has, which is we don't have a spending problem, we have a revenue problem. Alderman Beal, do we have a revenue problem?
Well, we have both. Seeing that the city's budget has increased $4 to $5 billion since 2019 tells you that we have a spending problem. We have been spending all of the money from COVID over the years, and we have basically started increasing our way of living off of COVID money. And now that the COVID money is running out, we're not cutting back our style of living in here in the city of Chicago. So we need to start cutting back. And we have been pushing for cuts and efficiencies for the last 2 years, and the mayor has been totally resistant to cuts and efficiencies. But now you have the Jim Reynolds group coming out saying that, you know, we need cuts and efficiencies, but we've been saying that for 2 years, and the budget deficit would have been a lot lower if they had taken our recommendations 2 years ago. We wouldn't be in a $1.2 to $1.5 billion deficit.
Alderman Waguespack, same question, but taking a look at this Chicago Financial Future Task Force, as it was called, they come up with a series of recommendations. Mayor seems to support some, not others. Does anything from that report, we'll talk about some of the specifics, I've talked about them, but does it make it to the council floor?
Yeah, I think quite a few of the things will make it to the council floor. But again, we have to start from this viewpoint that we have a revenue problem, and it's not fully true. What we have is a spending problem, and this administration has been spending beyond its means, borrowing to the tune of $4 billion, which a lot of taxpayers don't even realize, that they continue to pile on, burdening future generations, while rating agencies, fiscal watchdogs like us and other organizations are saying, you have to improve on your efficiencies, you have to cut, and you have to slow down the spending, if not fully cut it back, for the type of governing that we need here.
So one of the things this committee did, or entity did, was suggest a property tax increase, kind of the one under Lightfoot, which is tied to inflation. Now, Johnson has said, Mayor Johnson, not looking for property tax increases. So where do you stand on that? Well, is that a viable option?
I don't think you can come and say we're not going to have a property tax increase, because last year's budget was nowhere as big as this one, and proposed a $300 million property tax increase. Now we're looking at a 1.2 to 1.5, and you're saying no property tax increase, but you don't have any cuts in efficiencies. So I don't think you can get to where we need to go without having some type of property tax increase. But we have identified almost $600 to $700 million of cuts in efficiencies right now that we're going to be proposing to this administration, and hopefully my colleagues will start understanding that we need to start streamlining government and make those cuts in efficiencies.
You know, Alderman Waguespack, there's certain suggestions here, and the Civic Federation has talked about others. They require approval from Springfield. Can any of that even be done, like trying to raise a sales tax or something? Can any of that even be done in time for this budget?
No, it can't. And I'm not even sure it could be done in time for next year, because the mayor really doesn't have an agenda down in Springfield that is really workable. You know, he's been sitting there poking the governor and the General Assembly in the eye and then saying, give me money. And that just doesn't work. You have to build those relationships well in advance. I don't think he has the time to get any of those things passed the way the sessions are. And they keep relying on that or telling taxpayers, oh, we're going to get this money, we're going to get this money. It is not feasible. It's not going to happen.
Alderman Beal, the garbage tax. Now, that was repealed by Springfield, not gone until January. Does council see that as an easy way to bring in cash? Maybe people won't notice that difference?
Well, they'll definitely notice it, but it hasn't been increased, I don't think, ever.
I'm sorry, I meant grocery tax.
The grocery tax, yeah. Well, the grocery tax, I think that's a non-starter because I don't think people have that's going to hit every household, every apartment in the city of Chicago, and I think that's going to be worse than the sugar tax that was put in some years ago, and I think that's equivalent as the sugar tax. So I don't think there's an appetite for the grocery tax.
Do you agree with that? I mean, if you're going to do it, I think you got until October 1st to make that one happen.
Yeah, and I think they tried to slip it in without being honest about it. That was a very big problem from the get-go.
And how do you slip something in? Are these budget bills so big that it's...
Well, no, you put a different name on what it actually is. Right. Instead of grocery tax, you put some other name that nobody's watching, and then you slip it in at the end of council.
Do either of you think your constituents would be open to any of these kinds of increases, increase in the bag tax or a bottle or the water tax or something like that? Do you see any appetite for that?
Well, Paul, I think what our constituents do have an appetite for is for cuts and efficiencies. They want to see that we're tightening our belt before we come to them and saying we need to start increasing your taxes and your fees. So they're looking for us to lead the charge to say, hey, cut some of the spending, cut some of the waste, and then come to us. The people have to be the last resort and not the first resort.
Yeah, so, I would say every person out there, when they're in a little bit of dire straits financially, you pull things back. You don't spend it on, say, Netflix or Amazon or certain types of food. You don't go to the restaurants as much. Mm-hmm. You don't see this administration doing that. Again, they've borrowed close to $4 billion, kick the can down the road on that, and continue to spend money as if it's going out of style. And that's what we're saying is cuts and efficiencies first. Rating agencies say that too before, and the rates go up again, and we're socked with even more dollars that we have to pay. We want to see those things first, and then we can talk about some of these other revenue items.
Right. And let me just add to this. We said that there needed to be furlough days and something before now, the hiring freeze, furlough days. Well, this administration just did a hiring freeze in August. Well, you knew we were looking down this 1.2 to 1.5 billion dollars. Why did you wait until August to do some type of hiring freeze? We should have been doing furlough days from January 1st. We should have been doing a hiring freeze from January 1st, but we're still hiring people with large salaries in this administration. So there's nothing done other than smoke and mirrors to let people, oh, we're going to do a hiring freeze. Well, it's not being done.
And Alderman Waguespack, there's other pieces of these efficiencies proposed, including a higher share of health care contributions from employees. Some of these things will hit people's wallets. I'm not sure how people will feel the disbanding of a CPD horse unit, but this is all felt in the safety of the city then.
Yeah, I think when you look at some of those bigger issues like the health care savings, so we're going to discuss that over the next month and a half and try to pass that. That seems pretty bizarre because you have to call in the labor unions, you have to call other organizations, open up contracts, all sorts of things that cannot be done over the next couple months. I think this is a good report. I think they came up with some pretty good ideas. What I would also like to see, and I think we've talked about it, is Ernst & Young was also tasked with a $3.5 million audit to take a look at these things, take a look at what options we have. And this administration is withholding that from the public. We've demanded it, they're withholding it. And that says to me there's other things on the table, or somebody saying, look, follow through on these items, the cuts and the efficiencies, because this is what other governments around the United States are doing, whether at the state level, county levels, or city levels, municipalities. We are the only ones not doing it. It's incredible.
Budget hearings are already going on. The mayor said he'd start things earlier this time around. Is he keeping up his end of the bargain?
Well, I'm not putting a lot of confidence in these budget hearings. I went to the first few and I asked some very specific questions, and I was told, we'll get back to you, or we'll give you this information through the chair. And it was very simple information that I asked. And so we're not getting true answers. And I think this is just something to say, we check in the box. We're doing budget hearings early, where let's wait till we get the budget and let us go through the budget line by line and then start asking those specific questions.
Alderman Beal, I'm going to stick with you on this one because I want to talk about the proposal of lifting the ban on video gaming. You're very instrumental in that happening. Mayor, not thrilled about that. Give us an update. I mean, and the reason he says he's not thrilled about that is because the notion of the gaming money, he says, we're not getting that to the city anyway. The state's kind of overtaking it. So what is your view?
Well, the formula that's in place right now, we will get at least $50 million, and I think it's going to go as high as $100 million, because the gaming, the VGT goes into capital fund, and that capital fund is a bucket that we here in the city of Chicago can still benefit from. So we will get $50 million minimum in revenue, but then we can tap into this capital stack that we'll get maybe another 75, 100 million out of. And I think that's why we need to go ahead and take advantage of this, because we're losing out on revenue. And when you look at it on a day-to-day basis, the surrounding suburbs, other cities within the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, they're benefiting from this. They're already capitalizing on this. And you can't go to the state and say, change the formula, but you're not even in the game. You're not even participating in the process. So we need to participate in the process and say, hey, we're bringing another $1 billion to the state. Give us our fair share of that $1 billion to come back to us.
Alderman Wagersbeck, where do you stand on it?
Well, for a long time I was not in favor of it, but we're in a situation where I think Alderman Beal has made a really good point, a strong case for it. The other casino is not up and running, so we do need these revenues.
All right. How hopeful are you? So we're sitting here now. October's upon us. Do things look good, or are you concerned?
I think the reality is this administration has to come to grips with finances and how government is run, and they still haven't been able to do that over 2 years. When we saw them come into office, they had an $85 million budget gap. We're at 1.15 this year, potentially 1.2 billion next year as well. It really takes a lot of sacrifice to come to grips with this and talk about reality and not what is fantasy. So I think we will continue to push for what our constituents across this entire city want to see, and we have to fix this budget.
All right, I'm out of time, but do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely,
Good.
100%.
That's safe time right there. Alderman Scott Wagersbeck, Alderman Anthony Beal, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you. Have a good Sunday. Up next, Illinois says goodbye to former Governor Jim Edgar. We're going to take you to Springfield, where lawmakers and loved ones celebrated Edgar's life and legacy this weekend, so stay with us.